hydronic system to heat the inside of your home and your floors, or under your driveway, porch, or patio to do a snow melt could be one of the best investments you'll ever make. Call Quality for whole home radiating hydronic heating ideas that turn freezy cats into happy campers.
Call Quality for the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality. Heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. You'll find that the licensed and certified electricians from Quality are top-notch. We've been around for over 60 years, so expect nothing but the best. And here's the kicker. With over 60 vehicles out there on the roads, you're not going to have to wait very long at all for the electrical service you need now. This is Anthony Zanevsky. For all your residential electrical needs, call Quality.
Call Quality for the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality. Heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric.
Lane's Farm and Fleet's Black Friday sale starts this Friday at 6 a.m. Now's your chance to save up to 50% or more on Friday-only super deals store-wide while supplies last. Like 60% off 26-piece Rubbermaid food storage sets, just $9.99. Select men's Nunn Bush slip-on shoes, half price. And 40-pound bags of Blaine's brand black oil sunflower seed, just $18.99. Don't miss your chance to save up to 50% or more during Blaine's Farm and Fleet's Black Friday sale starting at 6 a.m.
Homer here for Window Nation's end-of-the-year sale. This November, you'll save big with 50% off all window styles, plus you could get 0% financing for 5 years. Window Nation's proven quality windows are so good, you'll actually save money on lower utility bills and come with a lifetime warranty. Window Nation even has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Don't miss out on 50% off and 0 interest for 5 years. Visit windownation.com to get started.
Now that the game is done, it's our time to check in.
Kuz fires up a three and he sinks another. Kyle Kuzma is unconscious from beyond the arc.
Bucks talk starts now.
He's looking for more. Drives and scores with a foul. Jalen Brunson coming up big as he has continued to torment this Milwaukee franchise.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios, here's Justin Garcia.
Well, for the first time in well over a decade, the losing streak reaches 7 for the Bucks. You got to go back to March of 2014 to find a stretch that saw the Bucks lose as many games consecutively. I do see the light at the end of the tunnel here. I know a lot of you probably don't and don't want to hear it at this point, which fine. But there are brighter days ahead for this team. In many ways, it feels like what you experienced last year, only coming 2-3 weeks later in the season, then 3 or 4 weeks later in the season than it did a season ago. Remember, the Bucks had a 6-game losing streak after winning their first game to open up the season. And, you know, sprinkled throughout that losing streak was some subpar play from a lot of guys that would prove to be important for the Bucks down the stretch of the season. I keep going back to the first 5 games of the season, and again, I know it is a very, very small sample size, but it was against good teams, largely outside of the Washington Wizards, and you could see how this team stacked up in the new style of play we were envisioning for the Bucks against some of the Eastern Conference and NBA elites. It continues to be a problem when Giannis is off the floor, and I think we all came into this season eyes wide open knowing there's a very strong chance that's going to be the case. We heard Doc mention it again tonight. The wrinkle, the caveat about tonight's game was there's a minutes restriction. So they knew we're going to have some tough stretches here when we have to take Giannis off the floor. And it didn't work out for the Bucks. He finished, +2, I believe, tonight in a game you lose by 9. So, I mean, do the math. The minutes he's off the floor, the Bucks were outscored by 11 points. That matches the eye test to what we saw. You had a very strong start to the game with your shooting, but one of the things that always stands out when you see that volume of threes and that efficiency, the Bucks were, what? Do you remember what it was in the first quarter? Like 9 of 13 or something on threes?
That sounds right, yeah.
Whenever you see numbers like that, the margin that you're in front should be like pushing 20. And the only reason why it wasn't in that first quarter was free throws. This continues to be a problem for this team. And when you listen to Doc Rivers after the game, it's a much different message than I think we've heard last season, the last 2 seasons, season and a half that Doc had been here. And I can't help but wonder if that's calculated. It isn't an outright, which I get a lot of Bucs fans feel this way. It's not, the message is not an outright, we're just not getting calls. This is ridiculous. The league is out to get us. How can you not call this? I know a lot of you feel that way. And frankly, tonight there was some of that. I mean, the final, one of the pivotal plays in this game, that jump ball, appeared there was a violation on Karl Anthony Towns on that step through. There was a few other plays like that. The flagrant that wasn't on Giannis. I would say each and every game we've had a handful of these questionable calls that just for whatever reason have gone against the Bucs. It is not every single call. They have committed way too many fouls this season. And on the flip side, when they have been the team getting fouls, tonight you got the Knicks into the penalty about midway through the third quarter. When they are experiencing that luxury and getting to the free throw line, the Bucs are just not connecting at a high enough rate. 68% tonight on your free throws. You know, in a game that you lose by 9 points, you miss 8 free throws. That is a big, big, big problem. It's a big reason for the loss. The offensive glass and the second chance points is the biggest one. Knicks do it to a lot of teams. The Bucs had weirdly been better, and I believe the number 1 defensive rebounding team in the league during this losing streak. But that wasn't the version of the Bucs that we saw tonight. 14 offensive rebounds, and it seemed like every single time the Knicks grabbed an offensive rebound, they turned it into a three-pointer. You cannot overcome those deficits. You especially cannot overcome those deficits in games where you don't have Giannis on the floor. You cannot overcome those deficits in a game where Giannis is not playing 30-plus minutes. And again, +2 in a game you lose by 9 points. You are -11 when he was off the floor, and he was off the floor for 20 minutes. That has been the biggest issue with this team all season long. Free throw discrepancy, part of that is what the officials are going to call, but again, if we are being candid, the Bucs have committed way too many fouls, and their opponent oftentimes has been the aggressor. That is the player that's going to get the call. You can't overcome those margins. If you're going to win the numbers in the modern NBA, and that is get free throws, hit more threes, get more possessions, you're going to win the game, especially when you have Giannis on the floor. But the Bucs have just not won modern math so far this season. 855-616-1620, the Siding Unlimited talk and text line to join us tonight on Bucs Talk. Putting it quite frankly, I'm not going to call tomorrow a must-win game. I know it's night 2 of a back-to-back for you. It is night 2 of a back-to-back for your opponent as well. Your opponent is not very good. They are strangely 3-6 on the road and 0-9 at home. But it's not a must game by definition. It is a game you better win. Because if it reaches 8, and then you're going on the road, and then it's, oh boy, we just lost to the Nets. What if we lose to the Wizards? And with that schedule of the next 3 games here, 2 games against the Pistons, 1 against the 76ers, how long is this streak going to stretch out to? You just have to end the losing streak and then start to continue to play this way. There was one other positive takeaway that I had coming into this game or question, and I think it was a positive largely in the game tonight that we'll get into in just a moment. Also, I mentioned this on the network post-game, the schedule. I guess I'm curious, and we'll get into this momentarily here, how many people are disappointed that the Bucs are not playing in the tournament portion of the NBA Cup? As in how many people actually care. But the benefit to this is it bakes in a decent amount of off days for the group. So we'll get into all of those things. Tomorrow night's game against the Brooklyn Nets. Is it a must-win game? When do you think the losing streak ends? Do you care that the Bucs are not advancing and don't have a chance to defend the NBA Cup. We don't get to see another year added to the banner, unfortunately. Is that anything that piques your interest? This NBA Cup here now in its third season, and that off time that is now built in. One of the positives, and something that we've heard Doc Rivers talk quite a bit about each of these last two seasons. We'll get into all of those coming up after this on Bucks Talk.
This is Bucks Talk.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Stop into Ken Michaels Furniture for our sale on Bradington Young, made in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains. Bradington Young is an American icon in quality leather upholstery. Whether you're looking for power recliners or stationary seating, BY's Furniture is made with enduring quality, outstanding comfort, and timeless styling. Save 35% now on Bradington Young upholstery at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield and Greenfield. Visit us today.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Flimsy, feeble, flaccid. That's how you can describe most pre-approval letters these days because most banks still issue pre-approval letters without actually verifying your income, employment, or down payment. That's the exact opposite of an AccuNet rock-solid, fully verified and guaranteed pre-approval, where we put a $2,000 guarantee behind the fact the seller can actually rely on the terms of your pre-approval and offer. With AccuNet, there's also a possibility of issuing a property-specific pre-approval with as little as a 10% down payment that includes the magic words, no appraisal required. That's right, AccuNet may be able to issue your pre-approval without needing an appraisal. That's the kind of certainty that can help a seller say yes to your offer. Sure, you can try competing with a flimsy bank pre-approval, or you can click on the blue button at AccuNet.com and get started with the pre-approval listing agents and sellers recognized as the best in the business. That's ACCUNET.com.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer, providing equal employment, development, and advancement opportunities to all teammates and applicants. To learn more about careers with us, please send an email to talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com. That's talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com.
Welcome back to Bucks Talk.
$118-109, the final score tonight in New York. The Bucks competitive, a much different looking team with Giannis on the floor, and you watched the first quarter and you said, okay, that's what was missing here. Is the looks are much cleaner. The gravitational pull that he had, 9 of 13 shooting on threes. Ryan Rollins, relieved to see him as there's somebody else that can initiate and run some offense. 14 free throw attempts for the Knicks in the first quarter. And again, free throws are going to be the thorn in the side of this team this season, unless things start to turn around. You shot 68, 69% in this game tonight at the free throw line. 68% at 17 of 25. You can't continue to leave those points off the scoreboard when you're putting opponents to the line as frequently as the Bucks are. And again, I will admit there were quite a few questionable calls in this game, and we have unfortunately noticed that to be a bit of a trend here. It's not every single call. I don't think this is the league wants Giannis to New York. The league is trying to get Giannis out of Milwaukee, and they're instructing every single official to just make ridiculous calls against the Bucks. I don't think it's that. I mentioned the tone of Doc Rivers was a little different. I frankly wonder, too, if Doc acknowledging, like, look, we're fouling, guys. We have to cut down on that, is a recognition of, the last thing officials want to hear is just outright complaints of why isn't my guy. You go in waves and stretches of this, of like, it's the same thing with coaching changes in football when you have the offensive guy and your team comes up short. It's, well, we need a defensive coach in here. Or collegiately, NBA too, you got the drill instructor and the more rigid guys. We need a player's coach and vice versa once the failure comes. Same thing a lot of times with, I want somebody that gets out there and just gets on the officials and opines for his guys to get the call. Like, Bud wouldn't do that, right? And then we heard Doc start to do it, and it was, oh, great. Yeah, get Giannis to the free throw line more. It can be grating and wear on you. I mean, just think about your everyday life. If that's all you're hearing from somebody, you tune it out. And I think that's not just Doc, a lot of these coaches. I think that's what we've come up against. And I think that's a recognition by Doc to say, look, we're fouling guys. We got to cut down on that. But, and I would agree with that. I do think that's a big, big part of it is, the Bucks are not blame-free in this. Their defense has committed way too many fouls this season. But there are certainly moments where they're already committing fouls. You don't need to help out the team anymore. They being, you, I should say, being the officials with some of these calls that we saw tonight. But look, here's the other thing. If we go back to the first portion of the losing streak, and again, 7 straight losses is not great, especially when you look at the context of first time they've had a losing streak this long since 2014, the year that they won 15 total games over a decade ago. They haven't won in New York now against the Knicks since right before Christmas in 2023. But, it's an 82-game season. And I'm not saying 7-game losing streaks are common and occur frequently. No, good teams lose 7 in a row. No. For the most part, no. But you have stretches of bad play. Again, 6-game losing streak a year ago and a 2-8 start to the season, and you still were the 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. And, I think we're probably going to end up saying the same thing here with this stretch, unfortunately. But if you look back at last year and say, yeah, if you just went 6-4, which is the pace that they played at for the rest of the season anyway, if you went 6-4 instead of 2-8, you're the 3 seed. And you're hosting the Pistons in the first round or have home court advantage against the Pistons. Unfortunately, you're probably going to be applying the same thing here. Now, what that second scenario is, like, hey, if only we wouldn't be doing this. Whether that's, well, if you could avoid the 7-game losing streak and let's say you went 3-4, you're not in the play-in tournament. Maybe that's where it is because we've seen a much deeper Eastern Conference than any of us imagined. There are 11 teams that are going to be trying to make the playoffs. We already know who's out. The Pacers, Wizards, and Nets have already started the tank. Charlotte Hornets are not far behind. I mean, they're only 1 win up on the Brooklyn Nets. And it's a matter of time before Charlotte goes into shutdown mode. But I think you look at the other teams in front of you, if you're the Bucks, and you say, okay, who are the candidates to start to fall back a little bit? The obvious choices would seem to be the Bulls, the Boston Celtics. We'll see what happens with Philly. But what we know is, okay, a lot of talk of Bucks or Raptors. You look at teams like the Bucks, the Hawks, the Raptors, maybe Miami. I think everybody thought they'd be lumped in there together. I think just about every Bucks fan thought the Heat and Raptors are both going to finish beneath the Bucks. At this point, I don't see the Raptors finishing lower than the Bucks in the standings. We're a quarter of the way through the season. Toronto is now 7 games in front of you in the loss column. It's a lot to make up. Still got a lot of time, but that's a lot. So it is probably going to be a challenge to fight out of that 7-10 spot. And just as we said within individual games, your margin for error for the rest of the season is not great because of the 11-team factor in the Eastern Conference. Instead of thinking like, well, it's really like 2 or 3 teams that are going to be really good, and then maybe like 3 more teams that are going to be good. And then there's just going to be teams that we know are just mediocre at best, and they're playing tournament teams. That's not what we've seen. We've seen 3 teams that have been really good, and they're not the 3 that we anticipated, right? The talk coming into the season was Cleveland, New York, Orlando, maybe Atlanta. Those teams, right now, at this very moment, Cleveland, New York, and Orlando are 5, 4, and 7 in the Eastern Conference. So it's going to be a challenge. And maybe this is a year that the Bucks are in the play-in tournament. But I've seen a lot of negativity overall of how bad this team is early in the losing streak. And like, I can't stand watching this. This is painful to watch. I mean, yes, it was rough. But what do we expect when this team, again, is built around your superstar? And this year, more than ever, was built to optimize Giannis with the players that you surrounded him with. Now, you found Ryan Rollins, even the staunchest of Ryan Rollins defenders and supporters coming into this season, you would have to admit he has far exceeded even your expectations so far this season. That is a good thing that you found. And again, you think about what is this next era of Bucks basketball? What is the next version of this team? How do you pivot into a different group here? You look at what Philly is doing. They are probably exiting or preparing for the Joel Embiid exiting that business. And Paul George eventually. Their eggs are now in the basket of Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. And they found that last year. They committed to the tank early enough to say, this ain't it. Health isn't there. Let's get a really good asset here in a draft pick, and let's lean into Tyrese Maxey is our best player. And coming into this season, you looked at the Bucks and you said, yeah, but, right? Before they stretched Damian Lillard, the cap situation, not great, Just the overall asset situation, not great. At that moment, you were not a second apron team, but not a cap space team, not a whole lot of leverage and room to do anything. Your draft picks down the road, not great either. This year, oddly enough, may end up being a good year for the Bucks, which we'll get to in a second here. But in 2 of the next, 3 years, you don't own your first-round pick. And in the odd years, the other years outside of that, it's pick swaps up until 2031. So you looked at that, you looked at an aging roster and said, we may have painted ourselves into a corner here. And then the wave and stretch. And you bring in a younger Miles Turner, you become a cap space team, you have no real danger of becoming a second apron team, which just opens up all the more avenues for you to continue to tinker with this roster. But more importantly, most importantly, is the found money that you had last year in A.J. Green, like finding a $10 bill in the pocket of your jeans when you're doing the wash. You just found a 50 in Ryan Rollins for the productivity that he's given you and for the contract. 3 years, $12 million. So you have Ryan Rollins and A.J. Green under contract for the next 3 years at what? $15 million total for that duo? Like, that is how you pivot and start to move down the road with a different supporting cast that's younger and that maximizes the usage of Giannis. So the point of all of it is, of course, it didn't look great. There is no second superstar on this team anymore. There's no Damian Lillard where it's, Giannis is out, we got Dame we can lean on, or Chris Middleton or Drew Holiday. You have invested in these young guys, and it's painful now. But this is ultimately going to prove to be very, very good for Ryan Rollins in the growth that we've seen and what he's had to shoulder and take on. Like, at this moment, Ryan Rollins is your second best player, and you trust him in some very big moments now to take some big shots. And how he's paired with Giannis, they have been one of the more elite and efficient scoring duos out of the pick and roll this season. I believe they were number 1, actually, coming into play tonight. So you found something there. It's just a matter of building up more of that chemistry and now adding another piece into the mix in Kevin Porter Jr. But, of course, it looked bad with Giannis out. Cole Anthony was struggling. Giannis is your point guard. Kevin Porter Jr. is on the shelf right now, so you really had one guy that you could trust to get out there and initiate and run offense and create shots. Any offense is going to look horrendous in those situations. And if your offense is struggling, it puts a ton of pressure on your defense, which frankly was not playing good leading into that stretch. I think they've gotten better, especially these last two games, but nothing's going to look great when Giannis is off the floor. And look, is that ultimately a bad thing for this team? Maybe, but I think we all knew that's what you were facing. They have been elite with him on the floor. And they have looked like the 2014 team with him off the floor. So that is going to be one of the challenges this year. But now you're getting healthy. It puts a lot of pressure and importance on just stop the dig. We talked about this last year. Quit digging the hole, stop the dig, and now start to climb out of that hole that you put yourself in with this 7-game losing streak. The next two games give you a very strong opportunity to start to do that. Can you build some momentum going into a much tougher stretch of scheduling after that, and then keep that momentum through a much, much needed pause in playing? So we'll get to what the schedule is going to look like and a potential shot in the arm that the Bucks could be getting as early as tomorrow, coming up next on Bucks Talk.
You're listening to Bucks Talk.
Menards Black Friday sale is here. Get everything you need to bring home the holidays. A Nerf Blaster dog toy blasts tennis balls 75 feet. Fun for you and your pup. Just $15.99. Delicious to buy chocolate is $12.99 a bag. Color-changing squish lamps and Performax drill bit sets are only $4.99 each. Menards has great Black Friday gifts for everyone in your family. Hurry in while supplies last. Good through November 30th. See menards.com for details.
Season's greetings to you all from Menards.
I'm WTMJ's Sandy Max. Skylight Music Theater is presenting Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, a dazzling story of family, forgiveness, and beloved songs. Follow dreamer Joseph from outcast to Pharaoh's right-hand man in this joyful holiday musical, now through December 28th. Tune in to What's on Tap with Sandy Max on Thursday, December 4th for your chance to win a pair of tickets. Or get yours now at skylightmusictheater.org.
Mission 94 is offering Black Friday deals for everyone. This Black Friday only, get 15% off all Savior accessories. Buy 4 cleanings, get 1 free. Enjoy 4 visits to the Mission 94 firearms range, and your 5th one is free. Give the gift of learning with 25% off a one-on-one training certificate. Plus, take 20% off all in-stock women's CCW purses and handbags. This Black Friday weekend only at Mission 94 Firearms Education Center in Kenosha. Learn more today. Just Google Mission 94.
No matter how many people are in your family, buying new jackets for the cold weather months can be expensive. But when you shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores, prices on cold weather jackets will give you a sigh of relief because thrift store prices mean great deals. And right now we have a great selection. Find great deals on cold weather jackets for the family at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it. St. Vincent de Paul.
Get the help you need Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix-It Show with David Nason, featuring this week's guest, Capital Heating and Cooling. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. And at 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact Annex Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at annexwealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ. The Round Ball Repartee returns. This is Bucks Talk.
118-109 the final. Bucks lose to the Knicks. The losing streak hits 7. They are 7-7 with Giannis on the floor. It is not time for panic. We heard that message from Doc Rivers as well. I will fully acknowledge the 7-7 number. You'd like to see that little more wins than that. But look, we talked about the 7-game losing streak, and if this is the version of last year's 7-game losing streak. Did I say win streak? If this is the version of last year's 2-8 start that you look back and say, if only we did this, we wouldn't be in this spot. It's deeper than that too. And that's part of the evaluation here. I haven't reached full-on panic. This isn't working. Time to explore everything else. There's some interesting names that have popped up now on the trade market. I don't think either of those two would help the Bucks all that much. I don't think it's even worth getting into the discussion at this point. But, I think what's the bigger what if for this Bucks team and what you point to and kick yourself over is the loss to Houston, the loss to Sacramento, those types of games where the Philly loss and execution, like, oh, by the way, Kyle Kuzma used the foul to give tonight to end the quarter on Jalen Brunson. Those games, because those were there for the taking. You controlled most of that game against Houston. You played well enough to win. And again, coming into this stretch that the Bucks had where it was very difficult. We noted their final 8 games leading into the Nets game. In this month of November, they came against teams that had a combined 663 win percentage. So you looked at games like Philly, and said, these are winnable games. You're going to have to get those. You're going to have to get Philly. You're going to have to get Brooklyn. You're going to have to get the Wizards game out of that stretch and then hope you steal 1 or 2 games against good opponents. And you didn't do that. If you beat the Kings, if you beat the Rockets, just go with those two. Instead of 8-5, you're 10-3. And a 7-game losing streak means you're 500 right now, right? It's not quite as bad. But that's just the margin for error that you don't have as much. And if you're taking those games that you have a chance to win and are in position to win, it gives you more leeway to say, okay, if we do suffer a losing streak, it's not, oh my God, the sky is falling, the wheels are falling off, what's happening to this team? They're now X amount of games below 500. It's just it's a rough stretch for the Bucks, and they're only a game or two above 500 now. Can they right the ship, right? It's a much different conversation, but unfortunately, we're not having it because you didn't close out against Houston. Really flat for large portions of the game against the Sacramento Kings. The Philly game, not closing that out. That's a winnable game that you had there as well. Those are the games that come back to haunt you more than anything, more than a losing streak. The Charlotte game, to a lesser extent, there was no Giannis there, right? Cleveland, again, I still... You loved how you looked up until Giannis went down in that game, but Miami, right? We're talking about games that were there for the taking and winnable. Miami, this one as well. Those are the tough ones. Now, tomorrow's opponent. I want to get to that in a second, and the schedule that's in front of the Bucks. You don't qualify for the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup. And for a team that's going through it now and still fighting to get healthy, with a rough stretch of scheduling, 16 games played through the month of November. You had 2 stretches of 2 days off in between games. Other than that, it was every other day or back-to-backs throughout the month. They're going to have a stretch here. This will be a stretch next weekend when they play Friday night at home against the Sixers and then go to Detroit Saturday to take on the Pistons. That will be the 3rd time in a stretch of 4 weeks that the Bucks played a Friday-Saturday back-to-back. So it's piling up with the schedule. One of the silver linings that Doc Rivers likes to reference may well be the schedule because you didn't advance to the knockout rounds of the NBA Cup. We'll explain what we mean coming up after this on Bucks Talk.
The Hardwood Homilies continue after this. This is Bucks Talk.
Furnace on the fritz? Hopefully it doesn't happen. But if it does, call Quality for 24/7 fast emergency service. Because we have a huge service crew dedicated to servicing equipment first and replacing equipment only when necessary. We know older equipment, along with the newest in heating technology, and we won't be there to sell you something you don't need because we don't know how to work on it.
Call Quality for
heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. When your pipes burst, water heater's leaking, drains backing up, or whatever your plumbing problem is, the reliable plumbers at Quality are on hand 24/7 to fix your plumbing problem with fully stocked vehicles and lightning-fast response times. This is Anthony Zanevsky. Call Quality first and get the signature service you deserve to fix your plumbing problem ASAP.
Call Quality for the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric.
A buck in today's world doesn't go far unless you're spending it at Griffin. Because for just $1 over cost, you can buy brand new tires from us. Buy one or a whole set. This is Jim Griffin. Any major brand. We'll put you in new tires for just $1 over our cost with free tire repair and lifetime rotation. That's right, $1 over cost, and we'll even show you the invoice to prove it. So what's the catch? There's really no catch. You don't have to buy a car or a truck from us. We'd like it if you did, but our only requirement is we put them on for you. Buy one, two, or a set of four. The $1 deal at Griffin. Available at Griffin Chrysler Jeep South 27th Street and Griffin Ford Waukesha. The $1 deal at Griffin. Make your dollar go further. Griffin, the buck stops here, but the deals on tires don't. $1 over cost. That's Griffin.
Not combinable with other tire offers.
Day after day, year after year, the heavy lifting, the repetitive motion, and now your body feels it. Your back, your knees, your quality of life.
At Access Legal, we stand up for people worn down by work.
Workers' comp is our sole focus, and our team has recovered more than $35 million for Wisconsin workers. From sudden accidents to pain that builds over years of hard work, we're dedicated to fighting for the benefits you're entitled to. If you've been worn down by work, contact Access Legal for a risk-free consultation.
Search AXIS Legal today.
This is Bucks Talk.
All right, the losing streak hits 7 now for the Bucks. I mentioned if there is a positive to take from not qualifying for the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup, it's this. We noted it's a stretch. Next weekend will bring to a close a stretch of 3 out of 4 weeks that see the Bucks play a Friday, Saturday back-to-back. Only one of those is a home-and-home back-to-back. It really started with the, second week of the regular season where the Bucks had their first back-to-back in Indy and then in Toronto. Then you had the Houston at home afternoon game off to Dallas for the next game. Then another back-to-back later in the week. So you played 5 games that week starting November 9th. Then another back-to-back the following week after that, which we're in now with the Knicks and Nets game tomorrow. Then you roll into another week of 4 games with a back-to-back to close things out before you finally get a reprieve. So by not qualifying, it means this. The teams that qualified, the Knicks win Group C, the Heat are the wild card, the Raptors were the first team to clinch, and the Orlando Magic win Group B. So the Knicks go to Toronto to play the Raptors because the Magic are the 1 seed by way of point differential. They will host the Miami Heat. Those games will take place over the course of 2 days, December 9th and 10th. The Bucks play, as we noted, 4 games this upcoming week. It wraps up Saturday, 1 week from tomorrow in Detroit against the Pistons. That's December 6th. Everybody gets 2 days off after that. Then you have the 2 days of quarterfinals. So the Bucks will not play again at the very earliest until Thursday, December 11th. It may be Friday, December 12th. But either way, you are guaranteed at least 4 days off after playing the Pistons before you play again. Then the semifinals are played Saturday, December 13th. And then the next 2 days is the second of the 2 makeup games for every team outside of the tournament portion. And then because you're now playing for the Cup Championship, you will get 2 days off at least again. So you're looking at a stretch where after you play the Pistons, You're going to have 4 or 5 days off. Then you're going to have 1 or 2 days off in between that game. And then after that, you'll have 2 or 3 days off before playing the Raptors at home, mind you. Then you get 2 days off, and then you start a 5-game road trip the week of Christmas. So they do finally get some rest, extended rest and time off here coming up during that stretch. That is an area where you would love to start to build some momentum and then hit the ground running after those games. A very, very challenging matchup against the Raptors in mid-December at home. Your road games, you're away from home the entire time Christmas week, but suddenly those games look a lot less daunting. At Minnesota, at Indiana, at Memphis, at Chicago back-to-back, at Charlotte, and then you come home for the Wizards. So if you can start to right the ship and use that off time here and get some wins against some of those good teams with a schedule that still sprinkles in a lot of subpar teams late in December and then the first week of January, that's how you start to navigate out of this. It starts tomorrow, though, with the Brooklyn Nets. It is a game, even though it's night 2 of a back-to-back for you, it's the same for them. You should expect to win this game. So what should we expect to see from this Brooklyn Nets team? Or maybe more appropriately, who should we expect to see from this Brooklyn Nets team? We'll take a look at it coming up after this on Bucks Talk.
This is Bucks Talk.
Heart disease won't stop us. Diabetes, allergies, cancer. Nothing will keep the Froedtert and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network from pushing Wisconsin ahead. We're constantly raising the bar for medical excellence and providing more ways to receive it, so you have it for all your health needs, big and small. Let's push ahead, and we'll make life here as great as it can be. Visit Froedtert.com to find out how.
Wisconsin is as hard-working of a place as you'll ever find. There's a sense of pride, community, and work ethic that's second to none. People here are tough, but even the toughest among us need help after a serious accident. At Gruber Law Offices, we won't stop fighting for you and your family. We've been here and will continue to be here for as long as you need us. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Matt LePay for Steinhoffels. Steinhoffels is a proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics. Since 1934, Steinhoffels has been Wisconsin's furniture and mattress destination for quality, selection, and service. For over 90 years, Steinhoffels has helped Wisconsinites create the homes of their dreams and is 100% employee-owned. Steinhoffels has the largest selection of all the latest styles and all the best mattress brands. You'll find something for every style and every budget. Shop in-store or online at steinhoffels.com. Relax, it's Steinhoffels.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702840, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
You deserve a chair that works as hard as you do. X-Chair. X-Chair ergonomic seating is built to move with you. DVL technology adapts to support your lumbar. SiFloat Infinite Recline lets you lean back and relax. X-Chair gives you all-day comfort and productivity. Save up to 50% during the X-Chair holiday sale. But hurry, inventory is limited. Visit xchair.com and save up to 50% today. That's xchair.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's best eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's best.
Welcome back to Bucks Talk.
All right, 7-game losing streak now. Giannis came back, looked fantastic, much better than I anticipated after a 4+ game layoff. Didn't miss a beat, 30 points in 28 minutes, 10 of 14 shooting. Now you just got to keep getting healthy. Maybe Kevin Porter Jr. makes his return tomorrow. We know it's close. If not tomorrow, you get the strong sense Monday against the Washington Wizards. I expect to know the opponents and I think the dates of the two makeup games for the Bucks late tonight. I think we'll start to get that coming through here. So we'll have more clarity on the schedule and the two opponents to plug in, one home and one road game. But up next, the Brooklyn Nets tomorrow night at Fiserv Forum. Again, a game you should expect to win. I'll be curious to see how you utilize Giannis, if you utilize Giannis. And again, Kevin Porter Jr. on that injury report tomorrow, so we'll keep our eyes peeled on that in the first submission tomorrow morning. Although I don't expect the Bucks to have anything because they played tonight until early afternoon on the injury report. 3-15 Nets team, 0-9 at home, 3-6 on the road. How many players could you name on this Nets team, Matt?
One.
Just one.
Well, one that played tonight.
Like on the current roster. Two, so then
Three.
two, three? Okay.
Cam Johnson and Michael Porter Jr.
No,
did
Cam
not play
Johnson's
tonight.
gone.
What's that?
Cam Johnson's gone. Oh, Cam Thomas.
Yes, sorry. Mix those two up.
Yeah, Cam Thomas, Michael Porter Jr. are the two most notable names. Their starting lineup tonight: Zaire Williams, Noah Clowney, Nick Claxton, Terrence Mann, Egor Demon, who is one of their 5 rookies on this team. They are not a good team, so you should expect to win this. You should expect to win in D.C. on Monday. Start a win streak. Start to pull out of this. Start to piece together better play. I mentioned one of the things I was really looking to tonight. You played pretty well in Miami on Wednesday. Just didn't have the horses. Can you bottle that and carry it over? And they largely did. So now just keep doing that. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock tip, Bucks and the Brooklyn Nets. 6:30 is when our pregame coverage begins. And as always, be sure to stick around after the game for Bucks Talk. We will talk with you then.
WTMJ's Julia Fellow here. Are you looking for the perfect holiday gift? I've got you covered. Treat your loved ones or yourself at Anton's